Thousands of bombs fall, the ground boils. And yet, this day will go down in history as one of the greatest sacrifices of armored forces. Why does 7,000 tons of explosives fail to break a single defensive line? 0525 hours. At an altitude of 3,000 meters over the English Channel, the world is loud and clinical. The roar of the 4 Rolls-Royce Merlin engines transfers as a permanent fine vibration to the metal fuselage of the Lancaster. The bomb aimer lies flat on his stomach in the glazed nose of the aircraft, his face pressed close to the Mark XIV bomb sight. The air up here is ice cold. The chill creeps through his lined gloves and turns his breath into a fine mist, condensing on the glass. Beneath the glazed nose, the cloud cover over Caen opens up. Through the reticle, the aimer observes the crimson cascades of the Pathfinders, the target markers for the coming inferno. His finger rests steadily on the electric trigger. There is no visible emotion, only parameters: airspeed, wind drift, release altitude. Bomb's gone. The Lancaster gives a sudden lurch upward as 7 tons of steel vanish from its racks. Seconds later, the Earth's crust beneath it begins to boil. The frequency of the detonations is so high that the soil enters a state of suspension, behaving like a liquid that shoots upward in gigantic fountains of limestone and dust. This is the opening act of Operation Goodwood. But as the bombers turn away, the friction between the destructive power from the air and the ballistic resilience of the German earth begins to manifest. From this moment, the ground offensive begins, but the bombardment has not eliminated the system. The German defense still stands. While the smoke clouds over Cagney still tower kilometers high, the defensive organism reacts. In a deep concrete bunker south of the Bourget-Bousse Ridge, a radio operator of the 21st Panzer Division wipes fine white chalk dust from his equipment. The connection to the 16th Luftwaffe Field Division to the north is dead, extinguished in the opening minutes. Yet the German defense does not rely on centralized commands. It is based on Auftrags tactic. Major Hans von Luck recognizes the danger immediately. Through his scissor periscope, he sees the dust plumes of the approaching Shermans of the 11th Armored Division. General Montgomery is under pressure. He must bind the Panzer reserves so that the Americans in the West can break through with Operation Cobra. This is the greater good. These British tanks must attack here in the east, and, if necessary, die, so that the entire Normandy front in the west can collapse. Here, at the edge of the bomb carpet, the British 8th Corps encounters its first massive resistance. Late morning, July 18th. The Shermans of the 11th Armored Division trundle through the tall corn. Inside a Sherman Firefly, the loader fights back nausea. The heat in the turret becomes oppressive as the engine noise drowns out all communication. Target, front, 800 yards. Before the gunner can react, an 8.8 centimeter shell slams into the turret. The force of the impact is so massive that the 30-ton tank is physically jolted aside. Inside, glowing metal shards break off the armor, the spalling effect. The dry heat of the explosion instantly fills the fighting compartment as the track rollers catch fire. In the ruins of Caen, the German gunners work with mechanical precision. The loader of an 8.8 centimeter flak slides the next round into the breech. The metallic clong of the closing block is the only sound in the brief pause between shots. The steel sacrifice has begun. While the British tanks burn in the east, 3 kilometers to the west, the Canadians fight for every single meter of concrete. This is the second front of the offensive. The 2nd Canadian Infantry Division begins Operation Atlantic. Here the war is not ballistic, but visceral. A Canadian private presses his back against the cold concrete wall of a factory hall. The masonry vibrates under the impact of heavy artillery, and fine mortar dust trickles down his neck. He grips his Lee Enfield tightly. Suddenly, the fireworks erupt. German grenadiers of the 272nd Infantry Division have entrenched themselves in the debris. Sturmtrupp 4. The Germans react with aggressive counterthrusts. It is a room-to-room fight. The Canadians must clear every stairwell with the bayonet.
Right. Moving up. Cover. Suppressing. Next level. Go.
By evening, Caen is liberated, but the city is a skeleton of ash. While the Canadians are bogged down in the west, the actual battle of decision escalates in the east at the Bourgain-Brous Ridge. Here, the fate of Goodwood is decided. Here, the heavy SS Panzer Battalion 101 has positioned its Tiger tanks. A German tank commander observes the silhouette of a Sherman Firefly at 1,800 meters through his TZF optics. He gives the order to fire. The 8.8 centimeter KW K-36 emits a muzzle flash that pushes the dust away from the tank for milliseconds. The shell takes less than 2 seconds to cover the distance. The impact on the Sherman is a metallic tearing sound as the steel armor gives way. The British attempt to storm the hill, but the geometry of the battlefield works against them. Every movement is reported by German observers in the tower of the church at Verrières. The ground on the slopes of the ridge, churned by bombardment and the beginning rain, is a mass of loose lime and mud. The Shermans spin in place, their tracks finding no purchase. It is an industrial chain of annihilation. The British 11th Armored Division loses nearly 120 tanks this afternoon alone. From this point on, the British attack effectively grinds to a halt. Friction in the British advance has reached zero. The system is immobilized. Behind the burning wrecks, the reason for the stagnation becomes clear. The machine has reached the end of its strength. On the German side, the maintenance crews of the 1st SS Panzer Division fight against time. The Tigers and Panthers suffer from massive wear and tear. Recoil systems overheat, and optics are knocked out of alignment. In a Tiger 1 on the Bourgain-Brous Ridge, the gunner wipes condensation from his eyepiece. The air in the turret is stale and spent, thick with the powder smoke of the last rounds fired. The crew operates like clockwork. Grab shell, check breach, fire.
Locked. Fire.
July 20th, the weather becomes an active combatant. From now on, the Canadian sector turns into a kill zone. A thunderstorm transforms the battlefield into a cesspool. The senses are now dominated by the heavy weight of soaked uniforms and the incessant drum of rain on steel helmets. For the Canadians, the Verrières Ridge becomes a scaffold. Then the steel storm erupts. The MG-42 machine guns hammer like the tearing of cloth. Canadian soldiers fall into the mire by the minute. Friction in the system is now total. Radios have failed due to moisture, and armored support sinks to its hulls in the mud. A Canadian medic crawls through the muck, his hands red with the blood of his comrades. The sticky sensation of the clay on his fingers makes every movement difficult. In the darkness, the Germans now attempt to turn the tide completely. The orderly British withdrawal threatens to end in disaster. As the rain lashes down, the 1st SS Panzer Division Leibstandarte prepares a counterattack. Panzer Grenadiers gather in the depressions south of Bourgain-Brous. The German soldiers are at the limit of their physical endurance. For 48 hours, they have been under continuous fire. Their uniforms are stiff with grime, their eyes sunken deep into their sockets. Yet mechanical routine keeps them upright. With the cry, Panzer IV, the Panthers lurch into motion. Was it all for nothing? Forensic analysis says no. The sacrifice on the Bourgain-Brous Ridge was the prerequisite for the final victory in Normandy. On July 21st, Goodwood officially ends. Tactically, the verdict is devastating. The Allies have advanced only a few kilometers. 400 British tanks are destroyed. Yet the overall situation reveals the true success. While German crews count their victories at Caen, their system is at its end. They have consumed their last reserves to halt this advance. The greater good is fulfilled. The elite panzer divisions of the Wehrmacht are pinned down in the east at Caen. A few days later, Operation Cobra begins in the west. General Patton's divisions encounter a German front that has no panzers left, because those tanks burned in the firestorm of Goodwood. The sacrifice of 1,100 tanks was the price for the collapse of the entire German front in Normandy. The Falaise pocket is beginning to close. The way there was paved with the steel of 400 tanks. Battle for Normandy is won, even if the victors don't fell this at this moment. The breakthrough is imminent.